Good evening, everybody. It's still a minute or two before it's past, so we normally spend the first 5 or 10 minutes just with an open mic. Tonight on panel, we have our lovely Larissa. She is our marketing, client manager marketing. She mainly looks after the marketing for us. And then we've got our super duper client manager, who is our internal consultant, who you can speak to personally, Margot, who's got some questions for us this evening. Okay, Paul, I see you want to have a chat with us. Okay, Paul, you can talk. Go for it.
Good evening.
Evening, Paul.
I'm hoping I would get all the knowledge I need to get my license.
When it comes to learning to drive in the United Kingdom, the first thing you have to do is get your provisional license. So that's where you have to start. You need to get your provisional license. And there are certain things you have to qualify to get your provisional license. I presume you already have got your provisional license, or you've made application for your provisional.
I've made application for that.
Okay. So you'll get your provisional license. Then what you do is you can already start studying for your theory test. So what you can do is you can phone one of our client managers, and they will give you free access to the theory test study material. Okay, and then you can study that online in your own time. It's an app on your phone, app on your computer. It's very easy, and it's artificial intelligence. It's AI driven, so it's really, really good study material. Then you need to get your theory test. So once you've done your theory, then you do your theory test, you pass your theory test, and then we can book you in for a driving test. And then you just need to do the preparation for the driving test. Now, in the theory test, you have hazard perception videos you need to do. That's all part of the theory test. Once you got your theory passed, we will provide you, if you're one of our clients, we will provide you with driving test preparation videos that you need to study to be able and competent to pass your driving test. And obviously that will be augmented and supported by your driving instructor who will be teaching you. And then we book your driving test, we get you there and take you to the driving test, and then you just do photographs and pin-ups and all sorts of stuff for us because you passed the first time. Does that sound all right, Paul?
Yes, that's very good.
And now we have Folashada, or I don't know how to say that. Please excuse my very bad pronunciation.
It's Folashade Mustafa.
Folashade Mustafa.
Yes, please. This is my second time of doing my practical and my second time of doing my theory. I've passed my theory both the first time and the second time, but the practical aspect is the one I'm having problem with. And it's just a little thing that really failed me. And this is zebra crossing. When a man was crossing, I didn't even see him coming. He was running. So the examiner just break, and that makes me failed.
Let me just, this is quite an important one. This where the man was coming towards the crossing, and the examiner saw him, you didn't see him. What do you think might have happened? Why that happened?
Number one, I haven't been to this area for lesson.
Not really an excuse, but there's another reason it might have happened.
The thing is, while I was going, it's like going from a left road, coming from a main road, turning to the left. Immediately the left, there's a zebra. I didn't see the zebra crossing. I didn't know there was a zebra crossing there, and there was traffic.
You know what happens, Folashade? Was this man coming from your right-hand side? Yes,
it was coming from my right.
Listen to me, what I think happened. And this is brilliant. This is actually a brilliant question. What happens is the pillar of your car, you know, the area, the pillar of the car, the structure of the pillar of the car on your right-hand side. When you are driving towards a crossing, often that pillar hides pedestrians behind it if they keep walking towards the crossing. or running towards the crossing, and you don't see them. That's why the instructor saw it and you didn't see it, because the instructor has a different angle to you. And now you've got the pillar in front of you and the man is behind the pillar. And as you're driving up to the crossing, the man is always behind the pillar coming up to the crossing.
Yeah.
And that's possibly very much what happened. That's
So immediately I told him, immediately he pressed the brake. I told him I didn't see him coming. I didn't see him.
That's what happened. And that's why whenever you come towards a crossing, you must lean forward and look around that pillar. I've seen that. I have had that same experience where all of a sudden there's a man on the crossing in front of me and I didn't even see that that man was coming towards the crossing. Because as he was walking towards the crossing, the pillar of the car was obstructing my vision of that man.
Yeah.
That can happen so easily.
Yeah.
That is a valuable lesson to learn, so that you always look around the pillars when you're approaching a crossing. Always lean forward a bit, look around the pillar, see if there isn't something behind that pillar on your right-hand side.
Okay. Okay.
That's a really good one. The roundabouts, you need to watch the roundabouts videos. You won't get caught out on the roundabouts if you watch the roundabouts videos. The videos that we've got on the roundabouts in the tutorial, getting your preparation to pass your driving test videos in the membership area. Okay, now what is really important, what we are discussing this evening has to do with keeping you safe now while you're learning to drive, and also preparing you for your driving test. And then also to keep you safe, because the thing is, while we are getting ready to do our driving test, we have supervision. We have somebody in the car with us. We are reading the signs, we are reading the road, we are reading the traffic, and we are hopefully developing really good habits to be good drivers. The problem that comes is once you have your driving license and you are finished, how do you now check that you remain a good driver and stay safe? How do you check and keep yourself safe? What do you do to keep yourself safe? Because what happens is, because of us being human beings, we drift. We drift away from good habits. So we come up to a roundabout and we go through the roundabout and we don't signal because we're just tired and we don't care anymore. We've got our driving license and nobody cares. What we do when we develop these bad habits is we set ourselves up for an accident. And the problem is, how do we know we are heading for an accident? How do we monitor our driving to maintain being a good driver? That's what it's about. And it's really easy, because the thing is, the mistake you make in the end, or the mistake that happens to you, normally has been built up by bad habits. Habits that have been slipping away from your ability to drive well. When you pass your test, you're sitting there like an owl with big eyes looking everywhere. You're checking your mirrors, you're doing all these things. But the problem comes when you've now been driving for 4 or 5 years and your car is full of dents. Why is your car full of dents? What's going on? What is the problem? And those sort of things are signals that you are heading for an accident. You are heading for an accident. And the thing is, how do you know? Well, I'm going to show you. The first thing you have to do is you have to identify the incidents that lead up to the accident. And sitting there and saying, wow, when I was on the roundabout, I nearly missed that car and I was a really good driver and I missed the car because I did this and I did that. Guys, people, that signals you're on the way to the accident. It doesn't make you a good driver. The more times you come home and you think that was a near miss, I was a good driver, the more times you do that, the more times you are going to end up in a situation where you have had a near miss and you are building up points for that accident. And that accident might be a serious one. Let me give you an example, and this is a really simple example. And that is, you're driving along, you're on the highway, and all of a sudden you catch yourself falling asleep and you pick up your head and you think, oh, I nearly fell asleep. Guys, problem. You should not, that should not happen. You must take that as the beginning of a serious accident. You need to get off that road as soon as possible. Go and have a walk, even have a sleep for 20 minutes in your car in a safe place. That thing should frighten you so much. That nod off should frighten you so much that it takes you off that road as soon as you possibly can. Find a place, go and have a kip, stay where you are, don't stay on the road. It wasn't good you caught it. It was bad it happened. Because the next 10 or 15 minutes, you will have forgotten about that. And when you wake up, you're hearing sirens if you wake up. Don't take the chance. It's not worth it. So that's why we say a near miss is not you being good or you being a good driver, or that was a near miss should be a big question mark. What could you have done? Because you've got to avoid the near misses. What I'm going to be showing you tonight comes from statistical analysis, which has been done on an international basis by major companies since the 1960s. So what this basically means, it's called a triangle. We look at it as a triangle. And I'm going to share my screen with you. Now, guys, please, this is so important. This is your life in your hands and everybody else in the car's hands, in your hands. Everybody's lives are in your hands. Every child, every person, and not only in your car, people around you as well. That guy using the crossing, that guy at the traffic light, that guy on his scooter, that guy on his bicycle. They're all in your hands. You are holding that steering wheel. You are responsible, not somebody else. No excuses. You can't have excuses when you put your hands on that steering wheel. It just doesn't work. No one's going to listen to you. And the worst thing is, you're the one who can end up with that problem. You could be paralyzed for the rest of your life with a minor accident. Don't let it happen, and check it out. I don't want to scare any of you. I love driving. But the thing is, you need to put your driving make it an art form. Make it into an art. And really, really, when you get behind that wheel, you have to be totally corpus mentis, totally aware. And if you think you're going to fall asleep, pull off the road, find a quiet place, go to sleep, have a 20-minute or 30-minute or 40-minute sleep right there next to the road. Will not kill anybody. You find a safe place. You can pull into any stop you can find where it's quiet, even in a street, in a parking place. Go and have that kept. But don't stay on that road if you've nodded off. If you think you're going to nod off or you feel drowsy, get off the road. End of story. There's no two ways about it. And what I also want to say to you guys, and this is something I've maintained all my life, because I have seen many accidents and driven in lots of things like mist and snow and ice and all over the world, in the Andes and in South America, Brazil, America, Canada, Africa, the whole of flippant Africa, just about. There are very few countries in Africa I haven't driven in. I've driven in Europe. I've driven across Europe. I've driven from Rome to London. I've driven from Rome to Paris, and from Paris to Switzerland, and all over the place. I've driven many, many miles in my life. But one of the things, a couple of things I've always done, and I always look, there are some rules I keep. The one is, every single time something happens where I think I was good, I think, what did I do to have to be good? Because when I'm doing something to be good at it, I must be careful that I'm not developing a bad habit. I must make sure about it. So let me share my screen with you. I'm just going to share this with you guys. This is the triangle that I'm talking about. So let me explain this triangle to you. And guys, this is brilliantly, brilliantly laid out. And I'll ask you all, you can all ask me questions about this. This is the safety triangle, which is used industrially all over the world. And it is especially prevalent where you have high probability of fatalities. So in other words, if you're just sitting behind your desk every day and there's no danger, you're not creating any dangerous situations, then obviously that's different. But if you are working in an environment where a fatality can happen, like in a factory or in a mining operation or driving on the roads or anything like that, that triangle is real. Statistically, it's a real triangle. And it's been proven to be the general statistics of the world. Now, how this works is for every 300 incidents or minor injuries or minor incidents or near misses, call this the incidents is the near misses. For every 300 of them, you will have 29 injuries or accidents. Now, if that's 30 and that's 300, right? If you reduce this to 30, for every 30 of these things, every 30 incidences, you are going to have potentially one accident. So if you are driving and you get 30 near misses or 30, oh, I was a good driver, I missed that. Oh, that guy nearly ran out in front of me, but I saw him in time and braked in time. Oh, that cyclist nearly did this and I managed to do this. And all these things, every time you have to analyze an incident, you are building up for this accident. And for every 30 of these accidents, you are building up for one major serious accident. So if your car has 30 dents on it, you better change your attitude very quickly. Now, this triangle is a standard triangle. So what'll happen to you if you have 300 incidents, you are more likely you're going to end up with a major injury or accident. Now, can you imagine if you've been driving as long as I have been driving, which I started driving when I was like 12, 13 years old, because I had to drive tractors for my dad on the farm. That's what I had to do. We had no people who could do it for him, but that's what I did. So I was child labor, but that was great. I have no regrets about that. That means how many times in my life, how many times has the potential for that sort of thing built up over the time? And what I can quite honestly say to you today, I have only had one semi-serious accident in all my life. And I still think it wasn't my fault, but I learned a big lesson that day. And it was when I was still a young driver, quite a young driver. But it was through lack of experience, the truck skidded and there was a near miss accident. But I was very fortunate. Nobody got injured in the accident. The truck got injured, but I didn't. Nobody else got injured. And I still think that was amazing. But every time I have, and I looked at this and I thought to myself, how do I keep my standard of driving at a point where I don't have accidents or injuries or minor injuries? If you can keep that bottom part of the triangle not happening, the rest of the triangle doesn't happen, and it has very little to do with fate. It has to do with how quickly you fill up that bottom part of the triangle. Because by filling up the bottom part of the triangle, by starting to fill up the bottom part of the triangle, once you get to 30 or 40 incidents, you are heading for a minor injury or minor accident or a dent. And the trouble is, it might be that dent which can turn into a major, but statistically you'll be protected, but you are heading for a problem. Okay, there's a more complicated triangle in the stats, and I'm going to show you that as well. It's this one, which also, let me just make sure you guys can see it. Yeah, you can. All right, so this is where they've combined unsafe acts and near misses to minor accidents, to serious accidents, and then a death. So you've got to look, you've always got to be examining what's happening around you. So if you can avoid the unsafe acts, the yellow part, it's very unlikely any of the other incidences will happen. So when you have this unsafe act, or you get this situation where you think, wow, that was a close call, but I'm a good driver, you're in trouble if you don't examine it and you don't prevent it happening. You've got to look at, why did that happen? What caused that happen? Was I not attentive enough? Was it this pillar that prevented me from seeing that guy? Was it I wasn't looking in my mirrors and the scooter came down the left-hand side when I was going to turn left? And it wasn't the scooter's fault because he was going too fast. It was your fault, you weren't looking in the mirror. Always look for the fault you've made before you look for the fault the other person has made. Okay. That is my story this evening. Guys, I can only tell you that that is something I wish I could inject into all of you and myself. Start by taking that shot myself on my arm here, a little anti-safety shot here. And I wish I can get that across to all of you. And I want to tell you something which is really, and you say to me, well, how do you know? And I'll tell you where this comes from. I'm a qualified mining engineer, and I was a mine manager. And we used to call this the loss control process. And I saw this work so brilliantly in a very dangerous environment. You admit to the fault of the near miss, and you take it on yourself to not have the near misses. And by getting rid of the near misses, getting rid of these small incidents, the rest do not happen. They go. Okay? It's really, really important. How do you apply this? You apply this to your driving. Now, if you're having near misses all the time while you're getting ready for your driving test, you're not ready to do the driving test. Or if you're having serious faults or a lot of minor faults, you're not checking your mirrors, you're not doing this, those faults are going to build up to a serious or a dangerous fault, which in the end will get you not to be able to pass your driving test. You haven't got your attention to detail at a level where it prevents that happening yet. And it's better you're not on the road, because your safety is more important than passing that driving test. That is more important. I'd rather have the examiner fail you than you go passing that driving test and I've got that on my conscience the rest of my life. Don't want that. That examiner has got to sit there and he's got to be attention to detail, super on that day, because your life and the lives of all the other people on the road and us are dependent on that pass. So it's a great thing that this driving system in this country is at such a high standard. And we should all be supporting it. And you should be supporting it. And I should be supporting it so that we can up the level and keep everybody safe. Crazy, isn't it? Okay. All right, guys. So please understand that this is something you must take away. It's something now that you can use now. And it's something you must take away and use in your future as well. You must put this is an injection in your arm that you should carry with you. Okay. I had a look at the actual statistics, the road statistics in the UK, and looked at accidents. And it's very much common, right? It's very close to the same statistical model that is reported on there. Now, if you go back to our website where this webinar was advertised, there's a really excellent layout around this. And right at the bottom of that page, there are links to further information where you can check the rest of the information that support these theories. and how you can actually work on it. So I would suggest that you go back to that page. Near miss, it's the heading is near miss means red flag. So near miss isn't a badge of honor, it's a red flag. And if you take that on board, it's really, really critically important for you to take that on board and use it, because it can save your life and the life of all your loved ones as well. So don't think that nod off can be ignored when you're driving. If you nod off while you're driving, it cannot be ignored. It has to be taken very seriously. You need to really, really take something like that seriously. Okay, so basically what we're saying is breaking the cycle. Stop glorifying close calls. That was close mentality is setting you up for a failure. Every near miss should be a serious wake-up call. That's basically what we're trying to get across. Analyze, don't applaud. After a near miss, don't just shrug it off. Ask yourself, what caused it? Were you distracted? Was there a blind spot? Is there something wrong with your vision? Is your windscreen dirty? Is there something stuck on your windscreen that shouldn't be there? Did you follow your procedures by watching your mirrors and looking who's coming from behind? Those sort of things. Could you have anticipated the risk? I would add there, how could I have anticipated the risk? The answer is always you could have anticipated the risk. The question is, how could you have anticipated the risk? What can you do differently next time to avoid this situation entirely? But if you can anticipate the risk, you can compensate for it, and you can make sure that near miss isn't going to happen. Because if you keep that bottom part of the triangle clear and it's not happening, then the likelihood of the rest going up doesn't happen either. Okay? Okay. Every accident, even a minor one, carries the risk of injury to yourself and other people. Yeah. You know, not only that, it increases the cost of your insurance. It creates problems for you to get the car repaired. It's all sorts of stuff goes with that. Legal fees, all sorts of stuff. Just endless nightmares if you don't do this correctly. Okay. By understanding, and this is really important, by understanding the accident triangle, you take control, you shift your focus from reacting to preventing. The safest drivers aren't the ones with the most exciting stories, but those who drive incident-free for years. I'm a very boring driver, and I really work hard at being the most boring driver I possibly can be, to the extent that people sometimes hoot at me. But I'm proud of those hoots. Yes. Okay, guys. All right. Any questions? You've got the floor, Michael.
Yeah, hello. I just wanted to say thank you. I had my driving test last week and I passed.
Yes.
First time in Tottenham, London. I was the one who asked the question once, if you remember.
Yes.
I was a bit nervous and I wasn't sure what to
Yes,
do because I
yes.
had my test coming up.
Yeah.
So there've been so many controversies, so many conversation out there. People say to you it's very difficult to pass
Yeah.
in London and all of that. So that did give me some fear and made me a bit nervous, but it was quite okay. I think for me, what really helped was understanding the principles behind why those rules were there in the first place.
Yeah.
And I was able to follow this through because now I know the reason why it was done. I was able to get all of this knowledge from your teaching. So thank you so much.
Michael, you're more than welcome, my friend, and really appreciate the fact that you're still coming to us and listening. So hopefully we can keep building on that. And now
Yes.
a question to you. You've passed your driving test. You've come to this webinar tonight. And did you learn something you didn't know?
Absolutely, I did. I did learn something today. And I think it narrows down to the last question you've just answered, which is how to keep yourself safe. Now, as much as we know during the driving test to always look into our mirror, make sure we are always aware of what's happening around our surrounding whilst driving, I think this more so buttressed even further the importance of that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, that's right. Yeah, and
Mm.
keep analyzing, Michael. Don't relax. Enjoy the doing the driving at the highest level you possibly can,
I
and
will.
look for
Thank
those
you.
incidents that you can
Yeah.
prevent. How
Yes.
can I
Yes.
prevent this incident? How can I be aware that it might happen?
Yeah. Yeah.
And
I
a
will.
good one, another one that's just come to mind that I really always tell people, the most dangerous thing there is with that pull, when you're, or one of the most dangerous things that happen to us when you're driving in heavy traffic is when a bus pulls up on the left-hand side of the road.
True.
That bus pulling up on the left-hand side of the road has always got people around that bus and walking out in front of you without looking and all sorts
Yeah.
of stuff like that. It's such a dangerous position. And
Yeah.
also when a bus is pulled up just past a zebra crossing, people will walk out behind the bus right in front of you without you even seeing them. So you need to look around the bus before you go across the zebra crossing. And these things are things that you need to put into that repertoire of yours of not having the near miss.
Yes. Just to mention something, I think one of the faults I had during my driving test was it was a minor one. I was driving, I was done with the driving test, back to the test center. Just before I was about to go into the bay to park, a lady was walking towards the car. Now I stopped in the middle of the driving for the lady to go through. However, she seemed to not know what she was doing or a bit confused. And she turned back towards another point, and then I drove into park. Now, as much as I was being careful in that instance and watching around my surroundings to understand what was going on, I remember not the instructor, but the person who conducted the test for me.
Examiner.
Yes, he did mention I could have stopped completely when I saw that lady there in the first place. I think he started off by asking if I was driving, and then I got to a pedestrian crossing, what would I do? And I said I'll stop. And the question next was, why didn't you stop for the lady? And I tried to explain to him that I did try to stop, but when I figured she was going to go back, I just kept moving. So he said, for future reference, in such situations, just stop completely and let her go.
Yeah, and you know the thing, the big danger, and this is why I support cameras, reversing cameras so much. One of the biggest dangers is that when you're just reversing and you don't have a camera, you can't see behind your car.
Yeah.
You can see over the back seat, but you can't see what's actually behind your car as well. So you've also got to be careful of those sort of things. But he's quite right. When you've got somebody and you don't know what they're going to do, expect them to walk in behind your car, because they do. 100 times, you'll have 1,000 people walk properly, and then you'll find somebody walk behind your car. On my driveway, when I reverse out of my driveway where I live, and I have seen people push their little babies in prams right out in front of my car while I'm reversing.
Oh.
And you think, can't you, don't you realize? And the highway code actually says that you should be taking observations and not walk behind a reversing car. It's actually in the thing, but they don't know that. I mean, how do they know?
Yeah.
Okay, that's good.
True. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Michael, and hopefully you will attend as well and learn more as we go along. Thank you so much.
I will definitely. Thank you now. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Michael, and well done on your test. Okay, great stuff. Okay, thank you. Last word from you, Margot.
Great session. Thank you very much. And to everybody who attended this evening, wishing all the best, being safe on the road and preparing for your test.
And if we can help you, we'll help you. Yes.
Absolutely.
Veriska, from your side, anything?
Yes, thank you to everyone who joined. If you do have any questions, or you need access to the videos, just send me an email. It's really easy, info@bds.london. then I'll assist you. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, everybody. Good night. Have a great evening.